The denouement at the end of the book of John. Today we're going to deal with the denouement in the book of John. So before we get started, what I need you to do, stop the video, read John chapter 21, verse 15 through 20, and read it 3 times. Okay, did you read it 3 times? You got that done? I had a family member once send me an email and then a text message. I just sent you an email. Straighten you out. Read it 3 times. I sent back the message. Walk north till your hat floats. Which is something you should never do. It's just an example of how you shouldn't handle things. You know, my father used to tell me often when I screwed up, which was often, you know, never a waste. You can always serve as a bad example for everyone else. So don't ever do that. Okay, let's talk about denouement. First, before we can understand the denouement in the book of John, we've got to understand what a denouement is. In a story, you have an arc, a pattern of a story. You know, you build it up, hit the climax, and down you go. Right, let me get it right here. Up, and then down, and then kind of like that. Okay? That's the arc of a story. And of course we have the building action to the climax, and then the climax comes along, and then we have the falling action. And then at the end of the falling action, the end of it, we have the denouement. Well, you know, you can divide ends, like, you know, famous Winston Churchill saying, this is the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning, whatever it is. You can divide things up like an end can have 3, the beginning of the end, the middle of the end of the end. Well, the denouement is the end of a story. It's contained within the falling action. Okay, so I would like to illustrate to you what a denouement is by showing you, by alerting you, because I think it's a good way to illustrate it, when you miss it, when it's not there. You know, you never notice. You do notice a denouement, but you just don't know that you notice it. So let me illustrate to you how you miss it. If you've ever seen the movie No Country for Old Men, you sit there at the end and you say, there's something wrong with this story. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something not right here. What is it? Well, it has all the action, the building, the climax, the protagonist is killed, and then the wrapping up, the end of it, the arc come down, right? And so you have the denouement, and all the loose threads are tied up. Well, so what's missing? What's missing? What's wrong with this? There's something wrong with this story, but what is it? Well, denouement isn't a tying up of loose threads. You can have a denouement in a story and all kinds of loose threads, but you feel right about the story even though they're loose threads because you have the denouement. Okay? But in No Country for Old Men, the reason it doesn't feel right is because there's no denouement. A denouement is like a theme, a revelation of the theme, or a revelation of the meaning of the story. Why did the writer write this? Why did the screenwriter write it? Why did the novel writer write this story? You find that in the denouement. What's the meaning here? What's the message? Right? Meaning, message, theme. These are all words that you can use to describe the denouement of a story, but they don't quite capture it. But it's the best we can do. Look at the meaning, the theme, right? So what is in the denouement in the Gospel of John? Well, what we find here is the first thing Jesus does is a clue to us that this is important, right? And what's that he does? He addresses Peter, not as Peter, but as Simon, son of Jonah. The first act, the very first thing that Jesus does in the book of John, in the first chapter, the first thing he does is he renames Peter. Peter is known as Simon, son of Jonah, and he changes his name. It's the first thing Jesus does in the book of John. And so now we see here in the denouement that the last act he takes, the last act of Jesus in the book of John, is to not use that name. Doesn't call him Peter. He calls him Simon, son of Jonah. He cuts through the title. He cuts through the veneer that really everyone walks around with and goes straight to his heart by calling him the name he's always been known as his entire life. Simon, son of Jonah. And then what does he do? He asks him, do you love me? And Peter responds, yes, of course, you know that I love you. Why? I just told you. 3 times. 3 times. Right, he asks him. He asks him again. After just being told that Peter loves him, he asks him again, do you love me? And Peter responds, you know that. I just told you. And he asks him again, a 3rd time, do you love? You know that. I just told you. Well, was Jesus just asking questions that he already knew the answer to? I know people who do that. Sometimes I do. But you shouldn't really do things like that. And I don't think that's what Jesus was doing here. I don't think he was just asking questions that he already knew the answer to. So what's the only other explanation? That he was told, but he didn't know, even though he'd just been told. And what is Peter saying in exact opposition to that is, I just told you, you should know. And Jesus, when he asks the question again, after Peter says these things, he's implying, no, I don't know because you just told me. Let's look at a clue to what is contained for us in the denouement, what the meaning of this story is, what the author is trying to communicate. And we can find that in John 15:13. In John 15:13, Jesus says, no greater love has any man than this, but that he would lay down his life for his friends. He doesn't say no greater love has any man than this, but that he writes a beautiful poem or sings a song or sends a text message that says I love you, or he doesn't even say no greater love has any man than this, but that he would tell you I love you every day. He says no greater love has any man than this, but that he would lay down his life for his friends. He recites an action and then immediately embarks on that action to act, to show his love by laying down his life for his friends. And that is the meaning contained within the Gospel of John. That's its theme. That's its message. You act to convey love. So when Peter says, of course you know I love you, and Jesus responds, feed my sheep, the message he is sending is act. And he does this 3 times. He implies I don't know because you haven't acted. Because acts speak love, words do not. Jesus had just acted to speak his love, and he's asking Peter to act to speak his love. And the final thing he does in this exchange is he tells Peter, when you were young, you did as you pleased. You went where you wanted to go and you did what you wanted to do. But when you are old, you will go where you don't want to go. In Gethsemane, we're told that Jesus did not want to lay down his life for his friends. But he did, because he was driven forward by love to act. And here, in these final words of Jesus in this denouement, he tells Peter, when you're old, you will do what you do not want to do. You'll act even though you don't want to, because you will be compelled by love. You will love me, and when you do, you'll act without being asked, because love will compel you. Words do not speak love. Acts do. Please visit us at ChristianEvolve.com and consider buying one of our great products for yourself or as a gift for a friend. Help us stay on the air by supporting us and buying our products at ChristianEvolve.com. Okay. Sadie, no. Sit.